All right, we're back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 73. This week, Maverick finally has gotten rid of his costumes. He's back to just normal old Maverick. And it was my pick for the week. And I picked a movie that I said when it's PG Psycho Goreman from 2020. That when it came out, it was all I heard. Everyone was like, Psycho Goreman. Bless you, because
Thank you.
Yeah. And PG Psycho Goreman, I never watched it, but I remember for like the month and a half that everyone was obsessed with it. This to me had a very much a feeling of like Willy's Wonderland, the
Very
same way.
much.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck you. How like everyone was obsessed with Willy's Wonderland when it came out. That's what Psycho Goreman reminded me of. But I'm gonna start with you. I'm curious to see what you're gonna think about this one. What are you gonna rank Psycho Goreman?
Yeah, I didn't really like it. Um, it had its moments. But yeah, I'm gonna give it like I'd be mean if I gave it a 3, so I'm gonna give it a 4.
This is the part where I'm like, it's a perfect. It's a 10.
Yeah, I figured
No.
you might like it.
Um. No. I said last week how I didn't think I would like it, and I was right. But I will say, it managed to entertain me more than I thought it would. So I'm gonna rock a 4.5. I don't think it's worth a 5, but I'll give it the extra little half just to just to fluff it up a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it was definitely something.
it was something. Maverick, he's watched the trailer and you told me you were like, "What is this Disney movie?" And I was like, I mean, I guess I could kind of see it because there's characters that I'm going to talk about later who just remind me of Power Ranger villains.
Yeah, just Power Rangers.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, what are you?
Well, there was a lot of Power Ranger like innuendo, like the music and the fighting,
Yeah.
and then of the character like costume types.
Uh huh.
Like very fucking Power Ranger esque. And
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Um. But anyway, hey, spoiler warning for PG Psycho Goreman. We're gonna ruin everything about it, so you've been warned. Hey, before we start, by the way, shout out Washington. They beat Tom Brady today, so shout out. But anyway, can I tell you, Maverick, what I think this movie's biggest downfall is? And you might agree with me, you might disagree with me on this, but its biggest downfall is it has probably one of the worst, most just annoying main characters of any of the movies we've watched so far, which is Mimi, the the
Oh
little
my
girl.
god, dude.
Dude, it. Oh. Now, let me preface this. Preface? Is that it? Anyway,
Preface?
yeah, let me say, first off, that I think she was good in this movie. The lady playing her was good. Um,
Lady
but
playing the little girl?
yeah. Um, but there was some parts later where the dialogue was a little. But for the most part, I think she did an all right job. Compared
Yeah.
to a lot of other child actors that we've seen. But boy, the character that she played was
You can only
it.
go so far with child actors. Like, I'm not a fan of, like, besides Home Alone, I can't name a single fucking child actor that I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
no.
all childs in movies should be
But,
CGI, and they should get Nolan North to do the voice. Just- but
yeah, I'm not a big fan.
yeah, Mimi really took me down, and then the other guy who really like I was the dad. Um,
Dad's
who
character was fucked.
the dad's character? There's a part later that we'll get into, but he's just like he's sitting there and he's like, ah, I would help, but I'm too lazy. And the whole time I was like, yeah, you are. You're a fucking piece of shit. Like, this dude sucked the whole time. And my hands hurt. Ooh. Like, he goes out and buys like a $2,000 TV and then takes more time out. And he's like, guess you're going to have to pick up some extra shifts, pay for this bad boy. God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was dying. I was like, this dude right here, he's not gonna be married to this chick much longer.
Dude,
he was sitting on the couch after the whole dinner thing where he's like, I'm microwave chicken, and he's playing it up. He's playing it up like, yeah, I slaved over the stove for you and the children. He microwave chicken.
Yeah,
he's like, really brings out the flavor. And I was like, what?
I will say though, that is because then he's like, yeah, I made dinner, you're welcome. And she's like, it's a mess. And then you're welcome.
It pans over, yeah, and he's like Tyler the Creator on the fucking Eric Andre show, where she's just looking at the camera and he's crying. I was like, oh god.
I was like, what? What's going on?
It was weird.
Yeah. What did you do to the microwave?
Cooked a great meal for my family, that's what. You're welcome.
It's totally wrecked.
You're welcome.
He was like, I made dinner. And he was single tear.
Yeah, he has that. He does have another I can't remember if it's when he's using the I think it is when he goes to put the dirt back in the hole and he hurts his hand. And he's just like, oh my god, it hurts so much. And
I thought he was playing around. Like,
I don't know. He definitely wasn't playing around later.
Oh yeah, I can't feel my hand. Can you take me to the hospital?
Yeah.
Good God, his dick must be immaculate. There's no way that lady would stay married to him.
Premium schmedium. Anyway, that made me laugh more than it should have. But anyway, hey, the movie starts off with this like title crawl where it talks about like this evil force or whatever who was from the planet what was it, Galactus or Galagus?
Who fucking cares? It could have been G-Spot for all I know.
And he was like in prison forever, hidden away from, blah, 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 blah. After that, the movie opens up with who we meet, who I will say there's a great, because the whole time you get Mimi's name because she says her, like, she makes sure everyone knows her name. And then the brother is like there. And so all my notes, I have him written down as brother. And then later on in the movie, Physco Goreman even has the thing where he's like, this is Mimi, and this is the brother. he's like, you've been here, you should know my name by now.
Yeah, you should know my name by now.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel you, PG. I know what you like. But movie opens up, and we're introduced for the first time to this game that will be a running theme throughout the whole movie, which is Crazy Ball. Which, from what I gather, is a game made up.
Was it called Crazy Ball?
Yeah, it was Crazy Ball. Made up by Mimi. That has these wild... it goes to like 67. Yeah, there's like a switcheroo thing if the balls connect in midair that somehow I think is like... The game...
Point switch. Like the opponents switch scores.
Yeah, okay. But I guess I don't know how they switch scores because later on in the movie, Mimi just like punches the brother in the gut, and somehow that's I guess how you do it. I have
no idea what
yeah.
any of that shit was.
But anyway, they're playing Crazy Ball, and we get like this super Power Rangers-y like electric guitar, like bam 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 bam, and they're like playing it, and then it'll cut away, and the music will cut out, and you'll just see them like running around or whatever. But yeah, so they're playing Crazy Ball, and the brother, it looks like he's about to win, but then the switcheroo thing happens, and the Mimi ends up winning. So then I guess like the the loser has to be buried alive or some shit.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
yeah, so the brother is now digging his own grave, and Mimi the whole time is like, "Hurry up, I'm gonna use your spare room to be my karate room or some shit." I don't remember what she said it was gonna be. But as he's digging down, he hits something hard, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he clears it out, and he runs into what we'll learn is PG's prison or whatever. This is where he's buried.
Physco
And
Goreman, PG.
yeah, you don't. That's not what he's called then, but we'll call him that now. And they find this grave and shit. Or not grave, this prison. And they're looking at it for a while, and then Mimi is like, let me try it. And then this bitch just does like eeny meeny miny mo, catch him. What is she even like? Mimi is the greatest or some shit. Like,
Yeah, I don't. She does some like there's like a combination on these buttons to unlock it, and she just eeny miny fucking mowed that shit and opened it on the first try.
First try, the little gem that's on top of this prison comes loose, and she like grabs it, but then like shit starts going and like it starts radiating this purple light and shit. So real fast they get up and they like bury it back, and they fill in the hole, and they go back inside and don't think about it. Later that night though, apparently these kids have like their own knocking tapping language or some shit. Because they're like
Morse code, Tom.
Yeah.
Some shit.
Yeah.
So they're just knocking on the.
I never thought it could be more. I was like, they created this. This is there.
Yeah, they're just knocking.
Yeah, does make more sense that it's Morse code. But yeah, and so they're like, the kids like, what do you think? You think that was Grandma or something? And Mimi's like, no, I told you, Grandma's in hell forever.
God!
It was like, what? Yeah, and they're having this conversation, and then the mom like knocks on her wall and is like, go to sleep, and so they both go to sleep. During the night, we get a classic horror thing where like the hand pops up out of the grave, and then it cuts over to like these three dudes who I think were homeless, but they were thieves at the same time. Which I guess
they
if
were
you're
fucking
homeless,
like drug addict, homeless guys.
Yeah,
like the most drug addict-y looking dudes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and they're just hanging out in like this abandoned warehouse, and they just got done like stealing some shit. And they're talking about stealing from this old guy and killing him, like hitting him over the head. And I'm like, what the probably
fuck?
trying to laugh at that, but
yeah, they're like talking about beating this man to death. And then PG walks in, big dick swinging, and he's like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah, yeah, and he walks in, and they start. Well, the main dude starts like dissing on him, but the other two are like, "Let's go, man! That guy's on something." Yeah. And but eventually, PG just grabs the two like lackey homeless dudes and just rips their heads off. And
well, first he tossed the younger guy. He hits him, and then dude just goes flying and hits a pole.
Yeah. And then he rips the other two's heads off, and then he grabs the leader and is like about to kill him. And the guy's like, "Please, I don't want to die." And so PG's like, "Okay, then live forever." Yeah, and he puts like this thing on, and we'll see later that when we come back, he's kept that guy in a never-ending, where like his eyeballs are constantly rolling.
Yeah, that was weird as fuck.
Yeah,
he looked like a wax statue just standing there.
Yeah, and that was some G shit. That's some pimp shit when you're like, "We'll live forever," and then you just, it's like that. What was that in that last God of War? That guy, you cut his head off, but he's alive forever, so you just like carry it on your hip. And he's just talking shit to you the whole game.
Yeah, I never fuck with God of War. So
funny enough, God of War, I think they put it on Steam the other day.
Really?
Which is like wild. I don't know how that works because it's always been PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the next morning, the family wakes up and they find this big ass hole in the ground. And this is when we were talking about how Oh, and there's like some claw marks and shit, like hanging out. And this is when the dad is like, "All right, well, one of you guys is gonna fill it up."
I got
And
fucking Outcast, Miss Jackson blaring in the background.
yeah,
Hard to concentrate. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Sorry.
But yeah, so yeah, and he's like, one of y'all is gonna fill it up, but then they're like, or you could do it or whatever, and so he's like, fine, I'll do it, and he starts to fill it
The
up.
dad. The
Yeah.
dad is.
And then this is when we say like the first scoop of dirt he takes, he's just like, oh my god, my hand, and immediately he's just, yeah. So then the kids, like, I guess follow some tracks, I think is how they find PG.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, I'm going to assume they followed some tracks or something. But they come across the warehouse and they find PG, and they find the guy who, like I said, this is when you see his eyes like rolling and he's just stuck in one place. PG is like talking shit to him and he's like, look at you puny specimens or whatever, and he's like gonna go kill them, but then he stops in like mid attack. And this is when we find out that Mimi, that Jim that came off of the prison, controls PG. So instantly you just gave the most annoying little girl in the world the power of a demon war god, or like, and so instantly she just starts like just belittling him, and she's like you belong to me now and shit. But PG starts talking shit back, and this is probably when we get the best of worst of. This might be my favorite, because he's like, you see that guy over there? I put him in eternal pain forever. He'll reach, his mind will go through the furthest depths of madness and stuff. And then the brother like trips and knocks him over, and the guy's head explodes. And PG goes, "No, that was my masterpiece."
Well, the dude, his like head explodes when he hits the ground. And he's like, "Thank you," to the kid, because he was telling him, he was like, "Kill me, kill me."
His face,
and it just reminded me of Bags. He was like, "Kill me."
Yeah. That effect with his face on the ground reminded me, if you remember, the beginning of Hellraiser, when the guy gets ripped apart and you see his face on the ground, like all in pieces and shit.
Well, no, I was thinking of what's that movie where the dude transformed and he was like, "Blue, blue, 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 blue."
Oh, are you talking?
What I'm talking about?
Are you talking District 9?
Oh no, it wasn't District 9. It was one of the first casts we ever did.
Oh, and the guy transformed. Hold on, we're gonna take a break here, because now we have to figure out what this movie was. What was the guy transformed? Blue, blue, blue.
And it was the one where, what happened in that movie? I just remember the scene where they're like all transforming and they're gonna eat this dude, or sacrifice him or something. And it's like a fucking orgy, and they're just all monsters.
Oh, Society.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
That fucking guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that reminded me of like a Society scene.
Yeah. Well, this movie, I saw when it came out, this was like, a lot of people were like, oh, this is like the days of 80s horror or slashers or whatever. But I never got like a big 80s vibe from any of it. Like, I know it's kind of supposed to be, but I was like, I don't feel it with this movie. Like, I think, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I think there's movies that are better at like trying to recreate that old feel of movies. But anyway, this is when Mimi is like, well, what's your name? What should we call you? And he's like, I'm too powerful to be held down by a single name or something. And so then she like, she calls him like Purple T-Rex at first or some shit. It was like T-Rex something. But then eventually she goes, how about Physco Goreman, or PG for short.
Yeah, they're going through like different names to call him.
Yeah.
And I think he said his original name, or what he was known, was Demon Ward God or some shit. Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah. But yeah, so now they give him his name, so his name, PG. And Mimi's like, all right, you're going to stay here for the night and wait for us to come back to get you in the morning. And then she's leaving, and she's like, bye.
Yeah.
And she just holds it. And I was like, So after this, we go to the planet of Galactic, or whatever it is, where we meet the Council of Templars, or whatever, who are now realizing that PG has escaped. And this is what I wrote down. I was like, man, these people look like some straight Power Rangers villains. Especially that one that was like a robot face and had dreadlocks or something in the back. And I was like, this looks straight out of Power Rangers. There was that cool one where he was like in a jar and it was just a brain, though. But
Yeah.
But they didn't really do anything. But the main lady, who is like, looks like an angel robot thing, and she's got these things coming out of her eyes and stuff. She is like the head Templar, and she's like, we're gonna have to kill PG. And so she teleports just a random person in front of them.
Yeah.
And the lady's like, what? Where am I? And then the angel lady just like puts her in a box and crushes her.
And it just crushes her.
Yeah. And
That shit was weird.
At first, I thought she was doing it just to see what humans were. But then after she like started rubbing it in her face, I was like, oh no, she's gonna like disguise herself as that. And then later she does show up, and that's what she did. So she was using.
Oh no, I thought she was just killing her just because.
No, yeah, she comes back and she's wearing, which I'll get into that. But yeah, so she does that because then later on she's gonna come back in a disguise. The next day, the kids bring their friend Alistair, who Mimi has like a crush on, but she says later she doesn't have a crush on him. He's just a friend that she's gonna get married to and live together forever or something like that.
Yeah.
There was a
She said argue like her mom and dad do.
Yeah.
All the time, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
A little too real there, kid.
There was that moment at the school where she's like, I like this outfit, cutie. Why don't you give me a twirl or whatever? And Alistair was like, nah, you know. But yeah, they bring him in to meet PG. And this is when we get, because they like bring him some magazines, and they give it, and one's like fashion magazine or something. And he's like, why would I want to read this? And Mimi's like, but look, it's got a bunch of hunky boys in it. And PG's like, I don't care about hunky boys. And then he's like, or do I?
Yeah.
So a little bi-curious
Weird,
PG in this movie, but you know. So the Alistair asks PG who he is. And this is when we get an explanation how he was born a slave on planet Gygax. That's the name of the planet. And the Templar ruled over everyone, and they ruled over the planet, kept everyone enslaved. And then one day you see him kill like a guard, and then he gets shot by a gun or something. And then as he's down there, he finds the gem that Mimi has, and he just like puts it into his chest, and it like mends him back together and gives him all these powers. And so at first he's like, so I knew my mission was to take down the Templars. But then directly after that he goes, so I started killing innocents. And you just see him like going through all these different planets and killing people. But then eventually the Templars ended up stopping him, which I'm not even sure if they explain how they were able to stop him. Like, because, I mean, this whole movie, he is unstoppable, basically. So I don't know how they...
When he has the gem.
Yeah, when he has the gem. So anyway, so he explains it, and basically the kids do the classic, like, well, that story was boring, and they're just not paying attention. Like, Alistair has been fixing the little TV there the whole time or whatever. And then they're like, all right, we're going to take off. And Alistair's like, it was nice meeting you. And PG, it'd be nicer if you were dead. And then Alistair's just like, okay, bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked Alistair and his little quips. So So then PG like goes over to the little TV, and he's like, "Huh, this box has maybe enough energy. Let me see." And he starts talking to it, and he's like calling to his soldiers who used to fight for him or whatever. And he's like, "Your master has risen." And the TV goes all staticky, and then like starts bleeding down and shit. And the TV's like, "All right, we're gonna come for you." And so yeah, that was something. So he's called to his soldiers. The next day, they're learning how to play crazy ball, and then I don't even remember what Mimi says, but she says something, and then PG goes, "All right, your wish is granted," and he turns Alistair into like a big brain or something.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. They were eating dinner, and the brother and Alistair take off to go play video games, and they just leave homegirl out. So she gets mad and calls PG from the warehouse where he's at. So he shows up in their backyard, and they're just playing around. The brother sees PG in the backyard. He's like, "What the fuck?" So he goes out there, and he's like, "Well, you can't have him here. Like, what's going on?" And she's like, "Well, y'all are playing video games. I'm gonna play with PG." So she keeps playing. Alistair's like, "Well, I'm gonna head out. This is fucking weird."
Yeah.
And she obviously having a crush on him's like, she tells PG like, make him. I don't know if she said like want to stay or like me back. I don't remember.
Yeah, something.
But so Alistair's like, yeah, sure, or not Alistair, PG. PG's like, yeah, sure. And then turns into a fucking brain with tentacles. So.
That's what? The thing is, to me it was clearly a brain, but then later she calls him a blob, and so I was like, is this maybe?
I don't know. That shit was weird.
They should have just like made a meatwad, and then the whole time I can't do a meatwad voice. That was
fucking meatwad.
That was as close as I could get. Was a but yeah, and so they turn him into a fucking like a brain. This is when inside, like the mom in the microwave just sees like this big mess and shit, and that's when she does the thing we were talking about earlier that we liked, where Dad's like, "You're welcome." He's looking at her.
I've made dinner.
Yeah. And next is, oh boy, right after this, we get a very cringy music montage of Mimi singing a song about herself where she's like, "I'm the heckin' best." And she's like, "Frick you," or whatever, or "Frig you."
Yeah, go frick yourself.
Go frig yourself. And it's just, weird. Oh, yeah. And there is one good moment where in the middle of the montage, like, this kid's like, "Hey, nice Halloween costume," or whatever to PG, and PG just like and blows the kid up.
Yeah, like they're walking down the street with PG and just out in the open, and everybody's staring like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
And then this kid's like, "Yeah, hey, nice Halloween costume." And then PG just explodes her, and I'm like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so the whole montage gets over, and I was like, all right, thank God we didn't need that in the movie. Little did I know that that song, it would not just be a one-off. That song would come back later. They go to, like, a diner, and they're just, like, eating and shit. Fucking PG, like, just opens up his whole mouth and eats, like, all the paper on his plate and everything. And this is when we get a little snippet of that on Gygax. It was considered a warrior's death to be eaten. Yeah. And once again, and then like Mimi is just like taking her brother's like fries or whatever. I was like, "You bitch, those are his fries."
Yeah, she calls him like fat ass.
She's like, "You're getting fat" or something like that.
The champion needs to eat, and she just steals his fucking plate.
So then that night, PG kind of like transfers the brother to the nightmare realm, which it's a dream, but it's in this nightmare realm where he can come in and talk to him in private. And he tells him, he's like, "Get the gym away from your sister. You see how she treats you like shit. It's just a matter of time before she puts her life in front of yours and all this shit. And the kid's like, no, I can't do it or whatever. And so then PG's like, fine, whatever. And then the kid's like, all right, what do we do now? And PG's like, well, now we wait for this nightmare to be over. And then
Yeah,
you
they
just
just
get like,
sit
yeah, just standing there.
Funny as fuck.
Yeah, I thought that was good. The next day is when the kids try to explain to PG how to play crazy ball. And they go through all these rules, and then PG's like, I have no idea what's going on. He's like, I have no idea. And then as they're doing this, just randomly a cop car comes like busting in through this gate, driving up to them. And they get out, and like the most realistic cops I've seen in movies so far, because they get out and just immediately start to like,
Yeah, dude. Well, the older cops like remember your training, and the younger cop is like, "There's
no time for that.
He just starts shooting. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
One of them, I always look at guns when people shoot them in movies
Uh-huh.
and TV shows, and I want to say, dude, half of these movies we've watched, no one remembers to put recoil in the fucking gun.
Yeah, they just
So either like on set they'll shoot blanks, which just have recoil in the gun,
or in
'cause
Alex
I mean,
Baldwin
it's
case, they
firing.
won't shoot blanks.
Yeah, they won't.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. Go ahead.
But yeah, the younger actor remembered to have recoil. The older actor dude was just shooting fucking lasers. He was just like pew pew pew, and the gun's not moving at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, always like for some reason I just look and I'm like, are they gonna remember to have recoil? Most of them don't. But
Yeah, they start shooting. PG does just some like just blocking it with his arms and shit.
he turns around when he's getting shot at, and he was like, I should have let those hit you.
Yeah.
To the kids, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. And then I can't remember if the young cop just gets too close to him or PG like goes up to him. But either way, he just grabs like the younger cop's hand and just starts like putting this force into him where you see like shit entering his body, and then like his whole face starts to melt and decay, and he turns into like this weird looking zombie prisoner thing. And PG tells the other cop, he's like, leave, run away, go tell, what you saw or whatever. And so the guy runs and he tries to get into the car, but it's locked. And he's like, God damn, where are the keys? And this guy,
yeah, his partner's fucking dead on the ground or whatever the fuck. He's
like zombie,
zombified.
yeah.
And he's like, throw me the keys.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. And he just runs away.
Yeah. But, yeah. So then after that, they go like just walking through the woods, and there's a great part where they like stop for a second, and then the zombie cop dude like shoots himself in the head to try to kill himself, but it doesn't kill himself, and he just goes, oh! Like he's just so upset.
You feel complete. Even if you didn't think you were missing something in the first.
Yeah, the dude who played the zombies, actually, it was really funny. Like, he did it in a funny way.
Yeah. So they're walking around in the woods and shit. It cuts to the police station where the guy is now telling them what they saw. And then as he's telling them what they saw, the doors bust open and like this bright light comes through, and out comes walking the woman who we saw get crushed in the box, which is now that Templar lady.
He did it in like a crazy fashion. Like,
yeah,
they're in the fucking police station. The police officers are talking to the cop from the basketball field or court that escaped. And the fucking like one of the doors, the office doors, just flies open, and like there's a bunch of this like white light and fucking like smoke and shit, and then she just walks out like a thug. And I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah. And here's why I say my problem is with the whole her stealing the body thing, is because she steals the body to look like a human, but she comes in and just doesn't, like, she just acts like herself. Like, she's like, hello, humans. And she's like, where's P? And she even, like, grabs the one guy and starts to, you see, like, it flashing. And to me, it seemed pointless for her to dress up when she could have just came in how she would have been already and done the same thing. Because, I get later she goes and talks to the mom. And so then, the disguise kind of comes in handy. But I don't know, that her disguising to then just act all strange still.
She like you said, she fucking takes that lady's body or whatever, and transforms into her. She pops into the police officers, the police station, and she just goes up to the officer because she wants to find the PG, right? She wants to find him. And she just goes to the officer who saw him at the basketball court, and she's like, give me everything you know. And she grabs his head, and he's fucking like, it looks like lightning's going through him, like she's fucking killing him or something.
Ka-chow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking, I didn't understand it.
Yeah. So the disguise thing kind of. But anyway, yeah. So she's finding out where PG is. As that's happening, it cuts back to PG, and they're walking through the woods, and in front of them, a bunch of like flashes go off. And then it's like his old crew from back in the day. And he's like, oh, these are my people. And this is when we get the line where he's like, this is Mimi. And this is her brother.
Her brother. Yeah, he takes a second and he's like, fuck, I don't remember his name. Her brother.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit.
The brother's name, by the way, which is Luke. I wrote it down here because he says it. I was like, oh, there you go. That's his name. But yeah, so he immediately like starts getting all cocky, and he tells his people, he's like, all right, kill them now, or whatever. But it turns out that his people like it a lot better without him there, and now this other dude is running the gang, and so they're like, how about we just make sure you never come back, or whatever. And so PG's like, all right, bitches, let's go then. And then he goes to punch him, but Mimi's like, stop, and she just makes him take an ass whooping. Since he was...
Yeah, they fucking stomp him.
Yeah.
Dude,
and so...
they jump the shit out of his ass.
He's defenseless. He's getting beat up. And then finally Mimi, like, makes him apologize. And then she's like, all right, now go get him. And then he finally starts to be able to fight these people. He kills him...
She makes him apologize.
Yeah. He kills him in a hole, but there's the one guy who he, like, makes look into a pool of darkness, and then, like, arms come out and pull him in or whatever. There's the other guy who just, like, rips off his face. The, like, witch lady with the baby head, he just, like, decapitates or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Mimi, like, kicks the head away from her. Don't ask me how Mimi understood the language that girl was speaking. Because, like, it doesn't... She has subtitles. Isn't she speaking, like, some weird alien language?
I'm pretty sure it was Japanese.
Okay. Well, hey... Weird alien language. That's no disrespect to my Japanese. I play Yakuza. PG. So PG, he kills all these people, and then finally the leader is all that's left. And so he's like, I hate you for doing this or whatever. But he's like, you fought valiantly, so I'll give you a warrior's death. And so then PG just like unhinges all his jaw meat. And jaw meat?
Yeah, fucking fuck it.
Yeah.
That's what I'd call it.
And he just starts eating my man's.
Yeah, he just ate my man.
Mm-hmm.
Nommed his ass.
Nommed him. Yeah, and he eats him, and then he gets up, and then like takes a few steps, and then he just falls over. And they're like, "What's happening, PG?" And he's like, "I'm dying." And they're like, "What?" And then turns out these people had like poisoned their blades or whatever. So PG, his blood reminded me of this. I don't know, when Horton Hears a Who came out. I've mentioned these to you before.
Not Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah, but when that came out, IHOP had these Horton Hears a Who pancakes, and they had like this bright blue syrup stuff that was on it that looked like that, like candy syrup or whatever. And it gave me the biggest headache of my life, and that's what that blood reminded me of, was that Horton Hears a Who syrup. But yeah, PG is all messed up. So after they're like, we need to get him out of here, but how are we gonna do it? And then they like look at each other and they have an idea, and then it cuts to the mom and dad like have an argument in the living room where she's telling him that he's lazy and all this shit. And once again, you can tell how big of a piece of shit this guy is because he's like, lazy, I hate that word. My parents call me that. My friends call me that. My teachers call me that. And it's like, well, if that many people...
The beginning of that scene was them talking about the new TV, right?
Yeah, yeah. The TV had been broken later or earlier because when they were playing in the backyard or whatever, PG had thrown like a ball through the fucking house.
Yeah, and it fucking. Well, you get another funny scene from the dad. Is like you just see he's sitting there watching TV on the couch.
Yeah, and
this fucking ball of lightning shoots through and bounces all around and then smashes in the TV and breaks it. And he's like, "What? What the? What? Yeah. What the fuck?"
Yeah, he's just curled up. And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, and he's like, "What is my life right now?" And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
and that shit was fun.
Yeah, I know we haven't mentioned it, but in case you haven't caught on yet, the parents are aware of PG's presence. It's not like somehow they've kept it a secret. Like, they know he's there. He even, like, goes to kill them, but Mimi's like, nah, those are the folks, you know?
Yeah, we totally skipped over the scene where they find, like, they see PG in the backyard. Mom hits him with a bat.
Does.
The dad's like, my favorite bat! And then he sees PG, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then, like, he goes to attack him, and he's like, you attacked me? And he's like, that was her. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. And she's like, you asshole. But yeah, so anyway, so the scene starts off with them having the argument about him taking more time off work for his hurt hand. He bought this TV. He's making her pick up more shifts. She calls him lazy. We find out everyone else in his life has called him lazy, probably because this motherfucker's lazy.
Yeah, the dude's a piece of shit.
Yeah. And so he's like, So then he goes walking in to take a shit, and then he's sitting there, and then you see, like, this little orb of light, and, like, this, and then it just pops open, and it's PG's face. He's just like,
Yeah, he's just, and he's yelling.
Yeah. And the dude's yelling while he's on the toilet, and PG's like, come find me now, or whatever, and then it, like, goes away. Oh, the guy got up and fallen into the shower, or whatever, and it goes away, and he's, like, breathing for a second. But then it pops up again, and he's like, 22 Roseberry Lane, and, like, yelling. And I was like, it's still funny.
Well, yeah, it starts with, one thing. I don't... Sorry, fucking ADHD. Looking off the charts right now.
Okay.
But yeah, he's sitting on the toilet. Ball of light comes in.
Sitting on the toilet. Go ahead.
It's PG's face, and he's like, "Come find me!" And he's screaming. And then the dad gets up, trips into the tub. The face goes away, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's like, "I don't. Where are you? I don't know where." And then the face pops up again, and it's like it says the address, and then goes away. And the dad, like the whole time, screaming again. He's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And he's like, "I don't know where that is." Yeah. And then the face pops up again, and it's like, go to the light, take a left, go down the street, take another right. And he's like, oh my god.
Yeah. So anyway, so the dad goes, and he picks up PG in, like, the back of his truck. And then as he, like, picks him up, he's like, PG, do you think I'm lazy? Like, PG just, doesn't answer or whatever. So they get back to the house, and as they get there and they pull up, we see the mom is standing outside with the lady who is, the Templar lady, but still disguised as the human. And she's like, get out here, kids. This lady is here to, help or whatever. And they stay in the truck for a while, and Mimi starts to, like, tell she's like, go out there and fight her big bro, we'll drive away or whatever while you're out there and all shit. And finally the brother is like, no, I'm not doing this anymore, Mimi. And so he like goes and stands with the mom. The mom is like, come on, Harold. I don't think that's his name, but I'm gonna call him Harold. She's like, this is one time in your life that you can't be lazy. You don't have to do anything. Just come out here and let her do everything. And so he's like, how's this for lazy carrot? He like puts the truck in reverse. And she's like, what? You can't be serious. So now the family is all split up. The mom and the brother are with the Templar lady. And PG is with the dad and the daughter. PG tells Mimi that to survive, she needs to give him back the gym because it's, you know, his life force. It'll heal him up and all this shit. She doesn't want to do it because if she gives out, then she's no longer in control of PG. You know, PG could just kill everybody and shit. So the dad pulls her over and tells her this story. He was like, when I was real young, I was real into baseball cards. And this random stranger was like, hey, kid, come in the back of this van and I'll show you all my baseball cards. And so he's like, so I followed him. And he showed me his big, gigantic baseball card collection. And I'm real glad I trusted that stranger to take me into his van or whatever. So he's like, so you should trust PG. And I was like, all right, dude, this is, you know.
That story was weird as fuck.
Yeah. So after that happened, we get a scene where the Templar lady like makes the mom drink like this big chung. What is it? I almost said Big Chungus. What was that? What was that juice in fucking Fortnite? That blue goddamn shit. Big Chug? Was that it?
Uh,
I played Fortnite like 5 times. I don't know. I was doing a quick Google.
Chug Jug.
Chug Jug, yeah. She's drinking what looks like some Chug Jug
I didn't even
shit.
have to Google it.
Yeah, that click clack was just, you know, porn or something. I don't know. So mom, so the mom, yeah, drinks this shit. So then they show up at the warehouse, and the mom is now also like looking like a Templar, and she's like got this, you know, she looks like Power Ranger villain now too. So they start talking shit. Mimi is like, Mimi, goddamn, this, she goes up to the Templar lady, and she's like, no one tells me what to do. Not the president, not the teachers, not my parents, you know, and she's like, and
She's a little fucking
I was thinking of how
dude.
great it would have been if the Templar lady was just like,
Just kills
Just,
her.
yeah.
I would have fucking laughed.
yeah, and then the dad's back there like, yeah, and I have just written down my notes, fuck both of them. So they start fighting, and I gotta say, man, like, the brother and Mimi start fighting, and the fact that this brother cannot overpower this, like, little 60-pound girl is amazing to me. Like, she gets on top of him, and she's just beating the shit out of him. And finally, PG, like, challenges the Templar lady to a contest, and that would be, like, how they decide. So she's like, fine, what contest shall it be? So, of course, it's Crazy Ball. And they explain the rules, and the fucking Templar lady doesn't even get it. She's like, what does this mean? And, but they start doing this fucking Crazy Ball game. The brother and the mom and them, they're winning, and they only need one more point. But they do the switcheroo, the 2 balls hit in the middle. And this is when I say the sister...
Well, it's when 2 balls hit in the air.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a little switch.
And so this is when I say, like, the sister just, like, punches him in the stomach. And somehow, I guess that's how you do it. So then now they win the game. And the dad's like, yeah! And he high-fives PG, and you just see his wrist just snap. And he's like, oh my god! And his bad hand throughout this whole movie now is just broken, you know, at the wrist. So finally, the brother, by the way, I forgot to mention that the Mimi was gonna give him the gym, but she noticed it was gone, and then that's when the other fam shows up, and it turns out that her brother had stolen the gym from her. So the brother has it.
Like that shit.
Yeah, and she's like, give it over or whatever.
Just call him a thief.
Yeah, and this is because, like, the Templar lady had just tried to kill Mimi after this, and the mom stopped her. So now the mom and the Templar lady
Got a
were
cramp
fighting.
in my fucking shoulder.
Sorry.
Stretched too hard.
Yeah.
A little interruption by the parents there.
I didn't know if anyone it sounded like someone was calling my name, but yeah. So the mom and the Templar lady start fighting. So Mimi's like, "Give me the gem" or whatever, and the builder's like, "No," and he's like, "You're never nice to me. You never apologize to me," and all this shit. And then this is why I say it, because the Mimi's been terrible this whole movie. And he's like, "You never apologize to me, right?" And so then they like stop for a minute, and then Mimi just goes, "I'm so hecking awesome," and she just starts singing a slow ballad version of the "Frick You" song or whatever, and the dad like joins in with her. And I will say, like, I was like, this isn't an apology at all, like her just singing the song. But I will say it was funny. PG on the ground, like almost dying, and he's like, I'm like trying to figure out what the words were to the song and sing along with her. But I guess this works because the brother ends up tossing over the gym to her, which then she gives to PG, and he puts it in his chest, and he starts to fight the fucking Templar lady. He does a cool shit where he like rips out pieces of her body to make a sword to fight her with, which I thought was cool.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah, as that's happening, Mimi's like, "I'm not gonna say it," and she does like Morse code or the tap language or whatever to say I'm sorry, and so then they hug, and I was like, "Fuck you, Mimi." It's like this doesn't. But yeah, PG ends up defeating the Templar lady. They have like a discussion where the lady like doesn't he's like, "My name is Physco Goreman," and she's like, "That's a gorgeous name," or something like that. Like, I don't know if she's just trying to stay alive or I don't know, but she was like hitting on him or something. But then PG's like, "I shall give you a warrior's death," and so once again he eats the bitch. And after that, he gives Mimi the gym back, and he's like, "I don't need it anymore. I can survive without it." And then he's like, "Goodbye, Mimi. Goodbye, Harold. Goodbye, whatever the wife's name was." And then he's like, "Goodbye, brother or boy." He's just like, "Boy." So still, he does not remember his name. And they're like, "Bye, PG." And then my guy just opens up a portal and goes to another place on Earth and just starts slaughtering. Like,
just killing everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they walk out of the warehouse, and then this line, it's not even really that funny, but I thought it was funny because the dad just goes, "I remember when this place was a shoe factory." And then they just like stare at him, and I was like, "Okay, thanks for sharing." And then that's when he like starts to pass out, and they're like, "All right, we need to go to the hospital." And so finally, they're back home. They're watching the news, and they're talking about this purple alien or whatever is like killing people. And then it cuts over, and we see Alistair still as the brain, just eating dinner with his family. And the credits roll, and you think it's the end of the movie, but there is one more scene where it cuts back to the Templars, and the head guy is like, "Do you think he knows how to find us?" And they're like, "Probably." And he's like, "All right. Well, there's always a plan B." And he just pulls out like a revolver. It's like, who wants to kill himself first? And yeah, and so that's how the movie ends. So all around, like I said, there's jokes in there that work for me. There's parts that work, but the majority of it, I mean, Mimi. It's hard to get. It's hard to root for someone like her.
It is.
Like.
Shit character.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what her demographic is. Like, who are the people that are relating to her? Because I don't imagine you would show girls her age this movie. Even though there's not really...
This is not a kid's movie.
No, there's some language. And, like, there's...
It says fuck.
Yeah, and there's some gore. But, I mean, it's not the worst thing you could show a kid. I mean, I've seen worse as a kid. But... Yeah, I don't know who's supposed to root for her. Like, who out there watched this movie and was like, I really relate to Mimi, you know? Like, I don't know. I saw that the guy who plays PG named Matthew Ninneber, he was always the first to arrive for a day of shooting because he had to put on all the makeup and the last to leave. So he spent so much time in the costume that some of the crew failed to recognize him and would even call security on him when they saw him on because they were like, "Who the fuck is this guy just hanging out?" And I thought that was funny that this dude was getting people called on him. And then this movie had a box office of $95,000. It didn't go to a lot of theaters, obviously. Mostly festivals, and then it'll go to like Alamo Draft Houses and shit. You know, I couldn't find a budget on it either.
Really?
Yeah, but I imagine it had some budget. A lot of the kills were practical, but yeah, I'm sure they still had a decent budget for this little movie. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, a lot of people liked it when it came out. People were obsessed with it, but
Really obsessed with this?
yeah, I'm telling you, like the horror pages I follow this movie, and they were like Physco Goreman, and I can understand it, but for me, I don't know, it's all right, like, but I don't think it's anything special. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sequel pop up. Honestly, this seems like a type of movie that could have another one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, what is PG's plan? Because if he just kills, I know she added the whole thing with spare, like, the human, but clearly that dude went and started murdering people, and he was still doing. So it's like, what is his plan for Earth? Like, what is their life gonna be like? Because he's like, I'm gonna go kill the galaxy now or something.
Yeah, I don't know what they could do with a second one. I'll give them this though, that this movie's definitely like something different.
It's definitely different.
And for what was the release date on this? It was like 2020, 2021, right?
2020, yeah.
Was it 2020?
Yeah. October 2020.
Yeah, it was definitely something different. They tried to do like something new.
They did try.
And I'm not a big fan of like the fucking costumes. Like they just remind me of the like anime convention sort of
Yeah.
costumes.
That's
Like
that beginning with the electric guitar and then playing the crazy ball or whatever. Like, it later on it reminded me of Power Rangers because everything else seems so Power Rangers. But at first it did remind me of like those anime fights you'll see, and they got that type of music playing. And they're like, I've got my power force or whatever. You can tell how much anime I watch. But yeah.
yeah, the like they looked good. The costumes, they looked good, but like you could tell from the way like the actor would turn, it's like fucking like flimsy plastic or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm not a fan of those costumes.
Yeah.
If you were a little kid, you wouldn't notice these things, right?
Yeah.
But this is definitely not like a child movie.
No.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you got a better, like, maybe if you make Mimi like even though it's kind of overdone now, I think, but if Mimi was like more of a, she's getting picked on at school and shit, and then she finds this demon god that's gonna become like, I don't know, but
they have to be careful with this type of movie, like, because it could just turn really bad. Like she could have just started killing people if she wanted to.
that's what I would have done.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. Having the two little kids in this movie, I think it would maybe been a little better if they were like teens, maybe. But I don't know.
I think maybe if they were teens, they would have been more corrupted or more
Maybe
likely
not.
to do that. Maybe the more innocent children, that's not on their mind. They're just like, dance for me and shit. Because she just makes them do jumping jacks. And then every now and then, she does at one point though. She's like, her brother says something, and she's like, "Okay, kill him." And then he like picks him up, and then she's like, "Ah, never mind, let him live." And that's
Yeah.
like the deciding moment that the kid was like, "All right, fuck this bitch." But yes, I don't know. Like Mary is different. There's enjoyable aspects of it, but I mean, all around, it didn't really work for me. But anyway, that's about it for this one. Maverick, what are we watching next week, fellow old pal? Sure.
So this dude I watch on YouTube, Count Dankula, shout out.
There you go.
Even though
You need the shout
us
out.
shouting him out's nothing.
No,
Like,
that's good.
but he just recently did a Christopher Lee, in the life of like Christopher Lee or whatever the fuck it's called. Christopher Lee played the OG original Dracula.
Yeah.
That's horror. So not picking the Dracula, not yet anyways, because if I pick the Dracula, I think there is multiple
There's a lot of
renditions
Draculas.
that movie.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't watch all the Draculas because Christopher Lee himself said some of them aren't very good.
Yeah,
I'd probably
yeah.
only pick like the best
Well,
of the Draculas.
yeah, if you remember when we did The Wicker Man, the whole reason he did that movie is because he was like, I don't want to fucking play Dracula again. So,
yeah, he's in the OG fucking Wicker Man too.
Yeah. Great movie.
But I saw this movie. I've never heard anything about this movie, but I saw it when I was researching Christopher Lee horror movies, and it's called Horror Express 1972.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you linked it. And I think I've heard of this, and then I realized this is Horror Express. I know Terror Train. So two very similar names, just they use different words. But anyway, all right, Horror Express. That should be. I don't know.
1972.
I looked it up. I saw like one screenshot from it when I looked it up. That looked pretty cool.
I think it's gonna be a good one.
Hopefully. Christopher Lee right now he's 1-0 on the podcast for me. I like that Wicker Man movie. But
he wasn't in the original. Or he was in the original,
Yeah.
right? Not the
he wasn't in the
one we watched.
what?
I said the one we watched.
What about it?
He wasn't in that
Yeah,
one.
he was. He was the bad guy.
No, we watched the. What?
He was the guy who like ran the island.
Did we watch both of them?
No, we never watched the Nicolas Cage one.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of the wrong movie. I'm thinking of the movie with fuck, what is his name? The dude who played Goblin
God.
in the old Spider-Man movies.
The Lighthouse?
Yeah,
Willem Dafoe?
yeah. I'm thinking of that movie.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't in that one. Would have been amazing if he was. Is Christopher Lee dead? I think he might have died a few years ago.
I think he died in like not too long ago, sometime in the
We'll rip the homie Christopher Lee.
yeah, RIP that
Yeah.
man's.
All right, well, next week, Horror Express with Christopher Lee and the other guys in it that's famous. Fucking
June 7th, 2015. Passed away.
Chris Sutherland? Was that his name? The other guy? Horror
Who?
Express?
Um
Because I knew the other guy's name, too.
It's he's in a bunch of Christopher.
Peter Cushing. That's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, Cushing.
Yeah.
Cushion. He's in a lot of
He's in
movies.
a bunch
with
of
Christopher Lee.
Draculas.
Um,
Oh, you know who
Also-
this guy is? He's fucking he was in Star Wars and shit back in the day. He was like the head of like the people that worked for Darth Vader. I can't remember their names. But anyway, shout out to him. And then I remember he's dead too. And then in Rogue One, they did the thing they did for like Carrie Fisher, and they brought him back to life and made him all young and shit, so that he could be in Rogue One. Shout out to Rogue. If you haven't seen Rogue One, it's the best Star Wars movie. Go watch Rogue One, people. But anyway, all right. Well, Horror Express next Friday. Earlier this week, overtime we finished up the Leatherface series, Texas Chainsaw. So go check that out, Maverick. That hasn't come out yet for you, but man, an hour and 41-minute episode, just talking about some Leatherface. So that came out Monday. Go check that out. Shorts maybe will be up. Right now, I have no shorts in the bank, so I'm gonna probably go look and make some after this in a little bit.
Your shorts in the bank? I keep mine in the fucking drawer, Tom. Goddamn.
Fuck you.
Right next to the underwear and the socks.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Maverick, guy, think what have you been sipping on this whole time? I've been curious.
Coffee.
Oh,
It's I'm trying out iced coffee, so a bunch of ice, pour coffee on it. That's what it is.
Yeah. I think you can. Does Keurig not have just a setting where you can make iced coffee? Like it'll come out cold?
Not mine, anyways.
That's probably some future shit. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, you got any last words? That's what I was going to lead into. Oh, shit. Go ahead.
The fuck?
I was flipping a coin and it got out of my hand.
No, I got nothing, man.
All right. Anyway, all right. Next week, Horror Express. Go watch Rogue One. Do it.
Rogue One was good, man. I had my man's Donnie Yen in it.
Did. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Bye.